Effectively connect the demand for information from your customers with the people in your organization that have the expertise, and do that in an efficient manner. Because if you can leverage the expertise within your organization, it helps across the board. It helps with conversion. It helps with customer lifetime value. It helps with lower return rates. It helps with SEO. So if you can efficiently leverage that expertise being shared, you can doing great. Happy to be here. How are you guys?
Fantastic.
Good.
James is one of the world's foremost experts on Q&A. And so we're going to kick it off with a really tough question, James. What is search optimized Q&A? Can you explain what that is and why that's different than regular Q&A?
Yeah, so when you talk about Q&A, you're really talking about helpful content. You should be focused on helping your visitor first. It should be people first. Google's telling the world to create people first content. Customers want people first content. They want to be taken care of. And so Q&A, when it comes to how you engage visitors, asking about your services and products, it really needs to engage the user and actually be helpful. So you see through that there's benefits that kind of run the spectrum as far as if the customer feels satisfied, they purchase, you see a lift in conversion rates. But then Google loves this stuff. I mean, with the helpful content update, which turned into helpful content system, and now that's in their core ranking systems. By default, if it's helpful, as long as you distribute it well and publish it well, there are benefits for organic search that comes from that. So it's really just Q&A done well. Customers have questions, and companies, they can facilitate quality answers, which they should be doing anyway, but then leveraging that content in a way that brings measurable value to the business.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, so it really starts with the first customer. On average, we see 7.5% of customers that engage our Q&A solution convert to a sale. So that's without any work really needing to be done. You can convert those customers at a much higher clip than an average e-commerce conversion rate. But the real value actually comes after that. So 8% on average for new questions posted convert to a sale, but 21% of Q&As over time, if they're distributed and able to be engaged with, 21% of Q&As over time help convert at least one person. So it really does tie into conversion, SEO. Again, as Google is looking for helpful content, they publish that and they're prioritizing that more and more. So there's a benefit there. And then with the utilization of AI, you can basically put all of that on steroids, because you can create efficiency in the creation and optimization of that Q&A content so that it performs better for conversion, it performs better for SEO, and you can touch many more pages much more efficiently through the effective use of AI.
So let's dig into that. Give us some examples of how AI is used to create efficiency and help the website owner generate more content faster, easier, and obviously get more keywords on page one and better search results. What is the interplay of AI with Q&A?
The appropriate use of AI is important. So when Google talks about AI, it's not against their guidelines to use it. They obviously have their own models that they offer to the world, but it should not be abused. So you can't just take a bunch of AI generated content and publish it. That's defined as spammy. It should be reviewed. It should be edited, and you should add your own expertise. It can be used for efficiency. When I talk to customers about AI, I often bring up that, the example in Good Will Hunting where the guy's just regurgitating information that it's seen or that he's read, but he really doesn't know what he's talking about. AI is good at some things and it's not good at others. It's getting better, but people really need to be involved in the process. But you can create great efficiency. So we have a product by product optimization workflow where page by page you can go through and it will auto propose, AI proposed Q&A that are relevant to that specific product or page or even or category page. And that just saves a lot of time in understanding what kinds of questions would be asked. It also auto optimizes it for the appropriate keywords that are relevant to that page or product. So that saves time. So our agency partners communicate that pre our tool, it took them about 30 to 60 minutes per page to understand the information that should be there, write it up, optimize it for the appropriate keywords, and publish it. And we have customers going through in less than 5 minutes per page. So it's not no touch, but with very little touch compared to how things have traditionally been done. You can optimize a much larger volume of your pages with actual people first helpful content that can create the lift for both conversions and SEO.
So it's about efficiency, not
Yep.
about replacing humans. It's really just getting more scale and less effort, less touch, less time per page or product, and creating efficiency with the assistance of AI, not AI replacing, what you would do as a human to optimize that page.
There's a way that AI can be used to reduce the amount of man hours that would be needed. For example, with auto suggesting answers from product descriptions or product specifications and understanding how people would ask those questions, et cetera. So it can be used for efficiency there. So you could scale your productivity without necessarily scaling your staff. Or at least doing that in the most efficient manner. AI is not perfect all the time. When we did our testing with product related questions, you would not want the AI answering those questions. It would lead to a lot of returns. And I'm sure it will get better and better as things go. I kind of look at it as you have the customer request, and then you have this satisfying answers. And right now, maybe let's say AI can do 20% of it or 50% of it in a great way. Well, you need to fill that other, 50% or 80% with good information from the best resources. And that will probably move more towards AI can do more and more. But people are very important when it comes to Q&A content. So Google patented what's called an information gain score a couple of years ago. And what it's doing is it's recognizing across all these different pages that cover the same topics, which are the pages that are actually creating information gain. And that comes from people. AI can read what is there. It can determine what the consensus says, and it can determine that well. But people are having new experiences. They're experiencing new products. They're trying it in different situations and different environments. And so that firsthand experience continues to be important to create that information gain, pour that into quality content, and that therefore you automatically distinguish your brand and your site, not only from a customer experience standpoint, but also an SEO standpoint. Yeah. Yeah, we have automated ways of identifying that and knowing that through we have a few different ways that we do that through understanding within the product documentation what questions could be asked, understanding what's regularly asked on Google related to products, categories, topics, etc. Even competitor sites and what they have answered. So we have several different ways of identifying that, aggregating that content demand, and being able to surface that to the merchants. And that's done on a page by page basis. You can get focused. Our workflow prioritizes it based off of the pages that convert the most, because we want to lead the merchants to the most valuable products, the most valuable pages, where they can get, if they provide lift on position, they can get more conversions. It's something that they want to be focused on. But then once you get there, we can fulfill that demand for information, and then their site is optimized. Anything that they don't have covered, That's what's amazing about the ability to engage, the ability for users to see what's there, ask their question. If you can answer it automatically, we do. If the information's already there, we can cover that. They have a great experience, they convert. But if they don't, that's actually gold, because that means that this is content that you don't yet have on your site, which you can give an answer to and create and further distinguish yourself between your competitors. So, your engagement with your existing visitors, your existing customers, that is what can create that differentiation between your product page and another similar product page, or even if you're selling the same product as somebody else. That gives you the opportunity to differentiate, create that information gain, and therefore rank higher. Yeah, I was thinking about this recently. It's kind of like a push and pull model, right? So before all this disruption, you would turn on your TV and you have a lot of content pushed to you. And you don't really have much of a choice of what they're going to put on the screen. You pick a channel and then they push content to you. Traditional FAQs is kind of like that. You're pushing content in the face of the user. Maybe you have a list of 5 or 10, but you really don't know if it's what the customer wants. And there's a place for that. There's things that you might want to highlight. How many years have you been in business? What are your average customer ratings? What is your shipping policy, your returns policy? There's things that are valuable for the user to know, but giving them a form to engage with. And when I say a form, just a field where they can pose their own question. I don't know about everybody else that's listening, but I don't like reading through FAQs. I mean, the chances that I'm going to find within this list of 20 FAQs, the question that I'm really interested in getting the answer to, that's a lot of work. And I might just go up to my browser and do a long tail search to try to find, the answer to my question there. So engaging the user through a field where they can ask, then you can auto suggest from any number of Q&As that you have available. You can auto suggest from the product specific Q&As, from the category specific Q&As, and even the Q&As that are related to all products, like a shipping policy or a returns policy or questions about your business. So it's really a much more efficient way of managing that. And you still do display Q&A. So you'll have a list of popular questions, but that is a list based off of actual data. That is sorted by actual data. And that can evolve depending on the new data that we get. So the visitors, the engagements, the search volume on Google, all of that can be used to prioritize what are actually the most valuable Q&As. And so you can have that list, which people relate to a traditional FAQ. You can still satisfy that. You can still support that. If you have something you want to push, you can highlight that and feature that to be pinned on the top. So you still have that opportunity, but through the engagement aspect, it allows you to satisfy every customer, not just the customers that just happen to have the questions that you have listed in the top 5 FAQs.
That's so true. Now, are there any scenarios where FAQ may be a better option than Q&A? Can you think of any situations where you might choose FAQ over Q&A?
So I don't want to rain on FAQs.
Go ahead and rain. Come on.
I don't want to rain on them, but when you're comparing the two, I don't quite understand the value, because again, through actual data, you can surface and keep prioritized the actual frequently asked questions. And in the cases where you do want to surface something that the company just wants in the face of the visitors, like if you have 5-star ratings on that product and you want to surface the Q&A related to the customer experience with that product, you can do that, and you can position that in the number one spot, and you can select multiple. Yeah, again, I don't want to rain on FAQs for anybody who has them, but there is a better way to service the customer. You should be getting measurable value from your Q&A engagement. And if you're not able to understand the value of the content on your site when it comes to question and answer activity, there's a problem with that. Like our solution, we track the conversions. We actually track that down to the Q&A thread, so we understand the core value of every single Q&A pair, and we can do things with that data to surface them. Again, FAQ has been around forever, but there's a new sheriff in town, and there's benefits to having a dynamic Q&A in a way that provides measurable results and multiples in ROI, might I add. It's not just measurable results. It's about getting a measurable return on your investment for the time spent creating. And it goes back to that 7.5% of engagements convert, but 21% of the Q&As help convert at least one customer over time. And so the value of that content needs to be leveraged, or you're basically losing 2/3 of the value.
Well, thanks, James. We really love the expertise, the insights, the updates, the strategies and stories of execution, implementation, how it works and why it works. We always like to end with what we call the $1,000,000 question. And the $1,000,000 question is, as an expert in Q&A, what do you recommend an e-commerce store could do as a strategic strategy right now to dramatically improve their business?
I would say effectively connect the demand for information from your customers with the people in your organization that have the expertise, and do that in an efficient manner. Because if you can leverage the expertise within your organization, it helps across the board. It helps with conversion. It helps with customer lifetime value. It helps with lower return rates. It helps with SEO. So if you can efficiently leverage that expertise being shared, you can lift the whole ship.
Yeah, that's really, really true. In fact, I wanted to enhance that with a book written by Marcus Sheridan called They Ask You Answer. And his whole premise, and it's been proven with his own business, that when you answer the questions people have about your product, your traffic goes up, your leads go up, your conversions go up, your revenue goes up, your revenue per sale goes up, because you are the trusted expert. And really, Q&A is taking that concept of they ask, you answer, and putting that into a very executable, AI-powered, search-optimized tool that allows you to generate and surface hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of answers to questions, setting you up as the expert, setting you up as the authority. And if you can do that, you're well positioned to be the company that people come back to, spend more with, recommend more often, et cetera. I mean, that really is the secret, right?
Absolutely.
And we talk a lot. In fact, in our book, we talk a lot about becoming the authority. Your reputation is critical, and that comes from social proof and being an authority. Well, answering questions and showing up in the top search results with the answers to those questions is a huge part of being an authority and an expert, being the trusted resource. So we absolutely love the concept of empowering an e-commerce brand, small, medium, or large, to not only become the expert, but continue to amplify their expertise online and on their website.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, James.